All righty, guys. Welcome to today's Local Yokels podcast. I'm your host, Neil Colley, and we're here at the SRP Studios in Hernando, Mississippi. And before I say anything else, I want to thank our show sponsor, RoofWorks. RoofWorks.com. They're your local roofing company that is basically a great friend of mine on the show, and I appreciate everything they do. But you can reach out to them at RoofWorksMidSouth.com. And I know in the past I always make Josh's number. I'm going to stop doing that because Josh may be getting mad if he's getting a bunch of calls. Who knows? He's probably loving it, actually. But with us today, our guest that we have in house is one of those local programs. It's kind of like a very good community program ran by a lady that has done, it seems like, a lifetime of work trying to help some people, young ladies in the community, not necessarily young ladies, but just ladies in general. But it's one of those deals where we're always focused on businesses, nonprofits, charities, how they're giving back to the community, and maybe sometimes shine a light on, see how we can help them get exposure, tell people what they do. And with us today, we have Precious and Pink as our guest on the day. And we got Miss Ann Lunceford, who is the, I guess, if you want to call it, the head chick in charge. Like, that's technically what it is because it's your program. It is. And welcome, Miss Ann. I want to thank you for coming in today and talking about your amazing program, helping these young ladies in general. And we'll talk about what all you do for the community and try to help these ladies transition back into real life, after their experience, whatever it may be. And I'd like you to, from there on out, real quickly though, we'll introduce your friend that's with us. Her name is Janie Yokel.
Hi.
Hi, Janie. Welcome today. We appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for
You're
having
kind of
us.
like a surprise visitor with Miss Ann, but we got a little weather going on here, folks. So Miss Ann needed a little bit of help today. We didn't alert her to our second story facilities, and it probably helped out. She was with her, and plus with the weather, like driving wise, she might be helpful for that, right? So getting you back around. But anyway, thank you for coming in, guys. I appreciate it. Now, Miss Ann, as we get started today, you and I have had a little bit of a conversation before you come on today, and I know you've been on other podcasts with some of my friends that do podcasts here in the community. But what I want to really focus on today is a little bit of the backstory, how you started the program, where it's at now, how you got there. I know in the last year you've experienced some really, really detrimental things, with the house itself. So just from there, just start and tell us how you got involved.
Well, I had never really been to a jail before, but years back, my husband and I were teaching a Sunday school class, and two of the men in there got arrested. And so I felt obligated as part of their Sunday school team to go visit them. And it just kind of opened up an opportunity for me to start doing Bible studies with the ladies that were incarcerated. And through that, discovered that they would get out and they'd come back, and they'd get out and they'd come back. Rotating door, a revolving door, if you will. So. And so, I don't know, God just kind of touched my heart that maybe there was more I could do to help. And my husband and I started talking about it, and one of the ladies that was in there, she'd been in for about a year, and they had offered her drug court. But you have to have a Mississippi address, and she didn't have one. And so we both agreed to let her come stay with us. And so she gave my address, and I picked her up, and she stayed with me 3 years until she finished drug court.
How long ago was that?
Oh, that was probably in 2010.
Wow. So you've been doing it a while.
Yes.
Yeah. So late in life, and your husband got to be an amazing man because I know you mentioned he wasn't with us any longer. And obviously to be a mindset to open your door for someone, a stranger, and it had some trouble. They're not like they're coming with we're going to have a party. We're going to be doing Bible studies. I mean, it was a transitioning period, I'm sure, for her as well as you both. So you had to learn how to do this. It wasn't just like you were schooled in it and educated to the point of where you just knew how to help these people. So it's probably like an ongoing, every new person that you got in, you had to learn what their special needs at that particular time was, because what was this lady's needs?
Well, she obviously had a drug problem.
Okay.
And, of course, I had to learn how to maneuver around drug court, too, because they've got a lot of rules. And, I didn't know anything about drug court until then. So that was kind of a process for me and her. Right. And, but it was good. And I've had a lot of girls that have gone through the drug court program. And it's a good program. But,
and they reside with you while they're in it.
Yes.
Right. And that thing can be lengthy. From what I understand, depends on what you get in trouble for, and I guess how many times you reoffend. But up to 4 or 5 years, I think, in some cases, right? Like they keep you, they trying to hold your feet to the fire, so to speak.
They do.
Yeah, to keep you from getting in trouble. And it's hard. It is tough on them. I've read up and talked to like some of the deputies about the things that they demand of them to, not being able to switch jobs without permission. You got to be there. If they call you, you better be there within so many times to test and stuff, but it makes them be accountable. It's really kind of what life's about, starting over. So
it is.
Yeah. Now, with that first person you brought in, did she stayed with you for how long?
3 years.
3 years. Wow. That's amazing. And I guess she almost becomes like a family member at that time.
She did.
Yeah. And she was probably like calling you mom, everything. So, and I'm guessing, is she still a success story?
She was, because that's been a lot of years ago, but I think it was year before last. She had a massive stroke and she didn't make it. Oh,
man, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but she was good before that.
But she did amazing after that. So,
yes.
You found out like, well, I found something here. I think I can do this. It's faith-based. Mm-hmm. So that you were telling me when leading up to this show, I didn't know you. I know a lot of people know you, and we know a lot of the same people, but everybody was talking and raving about the program you have, and you were telling me that, the process of learning the faith it's important to you, but you don't mandate it for them, because it's not everybody's thing, but it is important for the healing process. You feel like it's necessary to have a relationship with Jesus, as you mentioned, and you've seen that works more often than not for their recovery and for them to stay on path, because it gives them a focus to, and something to lean on during that time.
It does. I think it's just really important for them to get that relationship right, and it helps with everything else. To put that in perspective.
Sure.
And gives them a focus instead of drugs or men or whatever. They have a focus on something good and healthy. And
we talked about that in our pre-interview. I asked you, one of the things that obviously that first person, you probably learned real quick, and I'm sure there was learning curves. You're probably like, probably back in those days, the phone wasn't such a big deal with social media and stuff. But as it become a big deal with these ladies, you probably had to they can't have any access to any outside things like Facebook or whatever. So you have to be kind of a disciplinarian as well. As you're trying to love on them, you're also trying to teach them what not to do. So you don't allow them to have relationships beyond certain members of the family that you have already approved to have contact with them, because not all of them are coming from good family scenarios. No. Maybe that's why they're having a problem, so you probably pick and choose who they can interact with. Definitely no significant others. They can't have that at all, correct?
No.
Yeah, right. So, and that kind of takes them off their path sometimes, because that might be what's leading them down a bad road to begin with. And so elaborate on that a little bit, what the importance of that is. And I'm sure it's a struggle for someone when they first come in, because they got to cut off pretty much all outside access, right?
Well, I don't like bashing men because I like men.
Sure, I understand that. But if it was a men's clinic, we'd be talking about the ladies.
Yes.
You can't have no contact with Sherry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She is why you're in here, Joe. You know what I mean? So I understand that, but it's just because it is a women's clinic, and we know that men can have a power dynamic over women sometimes. So
I do.
I'm not thinking that. I just did one with House of Grace, and we talked about the wheel of power, and sometimes that leads women to where this is. You know what I mean? So I get that. So you're not bashing the men. I'll let you talk about them. So go ahead.
Well, the reason that I quit letting them have cell phones, I had 2 girls at the house, and they all had cell phones back then. And the director at the jail called me, and they were using their phones to make contact with some boys that were in there.
Oh, Lordy.
And, of course, they read everything, that comes through on those jail mails. And,
sure.
And theirs were very explicit. And he called to tell me. So I cut the phones off at that point. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. But it is a problem. They can get on their Facebook and contact anybody.
Sure.
And they all are going to have a weak moment. Mm-hmm. Everybody does. And in your weak times, you're apt to do something that you shouldn't do.
Sure. Well, it's only human nature to want, contact. Someone as a friend And, maybe especially young ones, like they're looking at it's like, well, he's really into me. I'm going to miss an opportunity if I'm in here. I get all that stuff, but you're really firm with them about you can't, because if you do that, you're going to miss the opportunity here to grow as an individual, and you can get all that later. You know what I mean? Like when you get out of here, you can focus on those kind of things. But right now, you got to get you straight. I'm guessing that's how you kind of sell it to them. So
I discourage any kind of relationship, whether it's female and female or male and female.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, because once they get involved in a relationship, it becomes about the relationship.
Sure. Yeah.
And like you said, they're there for themselves.
Sure.
And I don't want the focus to be on something besides what it needs to be on.
And not all of us. I mean, I will say my life's better because of my relationship with my wife, for sure, 100%. But if I had like a real dependency, whether it be drugs or alcohol or whatever the problem may be, I mean, it would be definitely, probably bringing me off the road a little bit to have to worry about what they are expecting of me. Like it gives you, I guess, you got to be a little self-motivated. Like it's got to be about you. So you're allowing them to become themselves, and they need to listen to you because you're teaching them from a learning standpoint to where you've already seen it. You know what I mean? Every time they come in there and got a story, you're like, honey, I've heard it. I'm sure that's kind of what you're going through, but they have to find that growth within themselves. And then, little by little, I guess you have these stages to where they're accomplishing certain goals. And each one of them's probably very individually dealt with. Like, I mean, every one of them's different because their personalities are different. Mm-hmm. And you got to learn what motivates them to be good or to start behaving in a proper manner where they're seeing things from a perspective of being a contributing member of society again, to where it's not just the revolving door of in and out of the system, which really, I know our jail system doesn't want that. And you talked about when me and you were discussing this I guess it was last week when we were talking, the struggle you had getting in the door at the jail because they didn't see it. Now they do. Didn't. Now they do. But initially the struggle was getting in there and trying to figure out how you were going to make this happen. So you skipped over that initially. You're just like when you started and then you got the first girl, but the hardship was getting in the door and convincing them that you were the one to help them, because I'm sure they had plenty of people like trying to outreach through churches and stuff, but you had a different plan. So talk about that a little bit.
I did have a different plan, and I don't think I even knew when I first started what it was going to end up being. Mm-hmm. But I knew that I needed to go in there and start trying to help them, be all that they could be.
Sure.
And learn how, like you said, to stand on their own and not be dependent on men or even the government or
even family.
Yeah. I discourage them now, like when their families come, from asking them to bring them anything. Mm. That's not what we're trying to do. I'm going to give them everything they need. They need to make a new relationship with their family. And it's not about you bring me something. It's about let's get to know each other in a way we never have. So that was kind of the goal even back in the early days when I was just going to the jail. Mm-hmm. But Sheriff,
you talked about the difficulty of getting in the jail, though.
Yeah, he didn't want me to come
they had some resistance on you originally.
Yeah.
And talk about that a little bit, how it finally worked and how your relationship with the sheriff developed to where it is now,
Well, I was working for an attorney in DeSoto County at the time that was active with the sheriff's department. And he had laughed and told several people, and he told Bill Rasco that I knew everybody and I should run for sheriff. Mm-hmm. And so I had to go over there one afternoon, and I'd been calling for about a year, talking to the man that was over the jail. And
trying to get in,
and he wouldn't let me. Mm-hmm. And I told you the other day, this is not very nice, but they fired him, and I threw a party.
Yeah, you needed to. Yeah,
I was so excited, and so I went over to the sheriff's department on some business for the man I was working for, and Bill came out the door, and I told him that I really wanted to talk to him. I said, I've got a deal for you. If you will let me come in here and do Bible studies and work with the women like I want to, then I won't run for sheriff and you can keep your job.
Keep your job.
And so he hugged me real big and laughed and turned around and told the lady behind the desk to tell me when to be there.
Awesome. I love that story.
So
yeah, that's great. Thank you, Sheriff Roscoe. Yeah, for seeing that. He probably, if you could have got him directly originally, you probably would have been ahead of the game.
I would have been.
Probably a little bit, because I think that he's very much into recovery some other programs I know he's been involved with around here for years that probably are more focused on the men, because they're the real repeat offenders, it tends to be. So, and much more of them. I look at the jail dockets and I'm like, man, and an occasional woman, what I mean? It's usually something way simpler, So I get it. Like his focus has to be there, but there are a few ladies around here that run into some difficulties. And as we're talking here a little bit, we'll transition to Miss Janie in a little bit, talk about how she got involved and maybe a little bit of her path, as much as you want to discuss anyway.
Okay.
So.
Well, I've been in and out of DeSoto County Jail like a lot because I'm a drug addict, recovering drug addict now. But this last time that I went, I was tired of it. And so my brother talked to Miss Ann and asked her if she had a room for me. And she said yes. Well, I ended up going to prison. And when I got out, I came to Miss Ann's. Well, while I was in prison, I gave my life to Christ. But since I've been out, Miss Ann has, her house has been a safe haven for me because I didn't get out and go back to the same people and things that I used to do.
Because you wind up back in the same community, the same friends, the same enablers.
Yes, the same enablers. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, if it wasn't for Miss Ann, I'd probably be out there with the same people right now.
Sure.
Getting high again, maybe. But, I mean, Miss Ann, she takes us to church, which is really, really good. My faith has grown a lot since I've been at Miss Ann's house, and she's really helped me.
Sure. So this was a situation where it wasn't like Miss Ann didn't know you.
Yeah.
And the court system didn't place you.
No.
This was literally your own brother knew about Precious and Pink.
Yes, because he went through a similar recovery program called the Warrior Center. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah.
And so he then says, hey, I know a place. Let me check with her.
Well, he sort of begged her.
He begged her. yeah, he begged her. So she obviously agreed.
Yes.
And then it's worked well so far.
Yes. I kept in touch with her while I was in prison.
Yeah. I
actually got out of prison early. I wasn't supposed to get out till April 28th, but I called her January 15th and said, I'm coming home. I'm coming home.
So you've been here a little bit over a month now.
Yes.
And she's already showing progress, Miss Ann.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little bit of love, a little bit of structure, teaching. And I'm sure she's already told you, honey, I've already seen that.
Yes.
So you can stop
plenty
talking.
Of times.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
so
plenty of times.
So it's like bringing you back to reality of where your focus is. You had mentioned you had a family and some children and stuff.
Yes,
and then,
I have kids, and I have been in and out of their lives.
Yeah.
So much. And I mean, right now I'm building myself back up so that I can be stable for them. Because if I'm not stable, I can't be stable for them.
Sure.
And Miss Ann's helping me a lot with that.
Yeah, and rebuilding your whole family relationship.
Yes.
Obviously if your brothers want to help you, you got that part on your side, and that's important. I know that, everybody needs family in their lives, but not always do they want their family in their life, but not always do they need the family, because sometimes family is the problem.
Yeah, like enablers.
Yeah, they are. And then on top of that, we've talked about how just earlier we were speaking about how a mother and son got in trouble. She was elderly, late 60s, and the son got in trouble. He went to jail. She went to probation, but she knew she needed help, right? So so she reached out to you, or courts did. I don't know how it happened. You can explain that a little bit.
Yeah, she was in the jail for a few months, and so I got to know her, and she asked me if she could come stay with me.
Yeah.
And I let her, and of course, bless her heart, we found out that she was from the same little town I was.
Wow.
And I don't know if anybody knows where Louisville, Mississippi is.
I don't.
That's where I was born, and so was she.
Right.
And her mother and my daddy were the same age and went to school together.
Wow. And you guys probably weren't much different age, were you?
No, not much. She was a little older than me, but not a lot.
You said she recently passed? Or
She did.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, she was a sweet lady. She was a retired school teacher.
But you had a great success story with her.
Yes.
Right? And as far as you know, everything from the time she left you till the time she passed, she'd done real well.
Yes.
Yeah. So talk about how you get them to that point. Like, I know there's probably a huge success rate. Like, is it out of the 10 women, for every 10 women you have come through, obviously there's going to be fail rates because just everybody can't walk the line. But talk about that a little bit, how what you see as the success and is it the same for most all of them? You see a pattern, you know what I mean, to where it works well for them. If they can just get on this pattern and stay there, they will succeed. Or is it just a little bit different for everybody?
Well, it's a little different for all of them. They all get basically the same thing when they come to my house.
Mm-hmm.
They get my attention.
Sure.
My love for them.
Mm-hmm.
They get a lot of church. a lot of Bible studies, but we also do counseling. If they really do need some help psychologically, we go to Region 4, get medicine they need to keep them, you know, because a lot of them have anxiety issues.
Oh my gosh, yes. I mean, how could you not? Like, it's usually trauma-based. Like,
it is.
Most of the time people get involved with alcohol or drugs, it's because of something that's happened in their life. They were trying to self-medicate to start with, and it just gets into this crazy roller coaster of what can I have next to help me, you know? So I get that.
Well, I'll take care of that too. And a lot of them have physical problems from the drugs.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so we go and try to take care of that too.
Sure. So medical, mental health is really important to you as far as trying to get them on the right paths.
Yes. Yeah. And we have a dentist in our area here in Hernando, and I don't guess he'll care if I tell his name.
I'm sure he wouldn't.
No, Jason Paroli.
Okay. Dr. Seymour's old office. Yeah. Well, he's a great guy.
They're in there together, and he fixes their teeth.
Oh, good.
So, you know, I want them to feel good about themselves.
Well, I'm sure self-esteem at the point to where you've been in jail, you know, and I'm sure years of abuse probably has not helped the teeth. No. You know, a lot of times. By the way, you don't have bad teeth.
Thank you.
I would say that self-esteem, you know, for ladies anyway, and even for men, I think I missed a tooth one time, and I was like, oof. I was walking around like, wow, you know, covering. So I get it. I totally get it. And thank you for Dr. Pirelli for doing that. I know him. He was my mom's dentist. And that's amazing that he does that for them, because that can build people back to a place of confidence, you know, where when they go into the new job or just interacting with someone at church or whatever, you just feel better about yourself, you know? So that's awesome, you know?
Well, I've been very blessed with people that have given them nice clothes.
Sure.
You know?
Yep.
And so they have something nice to wear when we do go places.
Sure.
And I have a lady that's been coming for years and years, and she gives them all a haircut.
Nice.
You know,
nice.
So
you mentioned her name too.
Her name is, what is Christy's last name? Oh my gosh, I can't remember.
I can't remember what her last
Miss
name.
Christie, the hair cutter.
Yeah, she's Christy the hair cutter.
Yeah, it's all right.
I just drew a blank there for some reason. I've known her for 30 years.
It happens that way sometimes.
But anyway.
Does she have a shop somewhere that she does?
No.
She just does it for she obviously been to beautician school and probably had a client list at one point in time, and now she just does this for you to help you.
She does, and she does some on the side, but she drives a school bus for the county.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So she just kind of
understood.
Puts us in there.
Man, that's awesome, because I know that's also a good way to make them feel better.
Her last name's Devereaux.
Christy Devereaux. There we go, Miss Devereaux. All right, so shout out to Miss Christy Devereaux. So she only forgot you for a couple of seconds.
Just anyway. A couple of seconds.
Yeah. But I'm sure the girls, ladies, I say girls, you know.
I call them girls.
Yeah, I get it. I probably do too, because I'm older than most of them too, I'm sure. But however, I'm sure the women probably between, you know, that's another esteem thing. Your hair looking good, you feel good, and I'm sure of all that stuff. And you're just helping them try to rebuild themselves all the way. It's not just single dynamics of Jesus relationship. I mean, it's all the things that make you feel complete. And for some people, it may be their ability to kind of reconnect with education. It might be their real ability to go get a job, function properly in society, hold a job, communicate. I mean, all those things are important. So you got to figure out what makes them tick.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like to think of it as like raising a child, because, you know, when you have little kids and they start getting bigger and you start seeing things that they're good at or that they enjoy, you know, say they like soccer better than t-ball.
Yeah.
You know, you just let them do more soccer. And so I've had some that have taken piano lessons that wanted to learn how to do that. I had a lady a few years ago that donated some guitars and taught some of them that wanted.
Nice.
Yeah, I want to develop their God-given talents too, because sometimes that's ways you can earn money.
Yeah, absolutely. And I imagine, regardless of the age, you're at a reset point, right? When you come into your house, like you're in a start over, you know, like a clean slate, so to speak. I know they got this stuff hanging behind them they got to re-enter into society and deal with. But for right now, at this house, you can just be you. We're trying to find who you are to make you happy and well-adjusted in life. So it's an opportunity to go. I always wanted to try that. I always wanted to see, like, I really enjoyed that. So it's probably an opportunity to kind of start over and do some of those things. You find that you had passion for it one time, or maybe you always wanted to try. So it's good that you do that. That's amazing. So,
well, I want them to find out. Years ago, I went through a divorce, and I didn't know who I was. So it was a search for who was Ann.
That's right.
And I want them to do that while they're at the house too. You know, I try to expose them to a lot of different things while they're there.
Sure.
So that they can see, oh, I really would like to do that.
Right.
And of course, we've gotten involved with Mid-South Therapeutic Riding. And some of them have found out they didn't think they liked horses, but now they do.
Yeah, you mentioned that. That's the Equestrian Center or
Yes.
whatever. They do that. So they teach them how to take care, maintain, be safe and comfortable around them, and then they become able to ride them and interact with them and stuff. So that's amazing. Have you got to do that a little bit?
I haven't got to do that yet.
Yeah, well, it's probably been a little cool around here.
Yeah,
right
it has.
now. Yeah, so probably starting out, but you're excited about that.
I am
guessing.
excited about that.
Yeah.
I love horses.
Yeah, that's awesome. So have you found something that you're clinging to that's something new to you, whether it be the music or?
Well, not yet. I'm still trying to find myself, you know, because when you're out there and you're on drugs, you really
Sure.
lose yourself completely.
Sure.
You don't know who you are anymore. So I'm really getting comfortable with myself again.
Right.
You know, and there's so much love from Miss Ann and all the ladies at her church. It's really easy, you know, to start finding yourself when you're
Sure.
there.
So you get comfortable and you just do it
Yeah.
at your own pace. You know, I guess
Yeah.
when she comes to you and says, Miss Ann, I think I want to start Scrabble. Whatever the thing may be, like whatever it is that kind of like interests you, you will probably try to make her available to her, you know, within reason and cost. I'm sure there's a lot of that and what the availability is for them to learn whatever particular thing they're after. And thank you to the Equestrian Center. You want to give them a shout out because they probably do more than just, I'm sure they help other people.
Scary Lynch and his sons run that,
Okay.
and they do help special needs.
Right. What was the name of the place again?
It's Mid-South Therapeutic Riding.
Oh, okay. Mid-South Therapeutic Riding. Are they located in like Olive Branch or?
They're in Hernando. They're on Fog Road.
Fog Road. Okay. Okay. Well, shout out to them for helping everybody. So it sounds like, because, you know, that is something they, you know, physical, mental therapy, all that stuff is really good for them. Because you got to be in kind of shape to ride a horse. Like, you know, you can get up there and hurt yourself pretty quick. So, or just being around them, you know, they're big creatures, but they're gentle, you know, but I guess it teaches that dynamic of like, I can be bad. I used to be bad, but now I'm good. So, you know, same thing with the horse, you know,
Yeah.
so they're probably in that same state. Dogs, you know, I guess, what do they call it now? Therapy dogs.
Well, I have a German Shepherd,
Mhm.
and it's staying with my granddaughter at the moment. But the girls love the dog. I have 2 cats, and I had chickens. And that was kind of good for them, too. Some of them were like, I'm not touching the chicken.
Right.
But they've learned to do that.
Yeah, to take care of something other than themselves, and
Yeah.
like focus on it. Like, hey, it's my job every day is collecting eggs. You know, I got to feed them, I got to water them, I got to do all this stuff, clean up the pen. I understand that dynamic. Before I forget, and I don't need to forget about this, we should have touched on this originally. You guys had an unbelievable setback last year. Let's talk about that just a little bit.
Well, we woke up at 4:00 in the morning. One of the girls came running down to my bedroom telling me the house was on fire. And I opened up my door and black smoke was everywhere, even in the
my
dark.
goodness.
And but we all got out.
Sure.
Dog got out. Cats were fine. And but I lost just about everything.
Everything. And this was by the way, people don't know this. Miss Ann is not funded by anything. Like, she is 100% out of her pocket, donations. This was her personal home that her and her husband had. That he opened the door. He and I together they opened the door.
I opened
years
it
ago.
before. It was after he died that I moved down there.
Oh, in that house. Okay.
Yeah.
But however, it was a pretty big home, like 5,000 square foot, because she knew what she was going to do with it. She knew she needed a bigger home to help more people. And I'm for sure it was set up properly. It was ready. I mean, you just had this idea like, this is forever, right? And
Thought it would be.
Yeah. And then you lost it just in the blink of an eye. Fires are bad. And it was during the ice storm. So probably electric heat or something. I don't know.
It was.
Yeah, right.
But we all got out. Everybody was safe. Nobody even got hurt at all.
Thank goodness. But now you're out of a house.
No, I don't have a house.
And you got all these ladies that are needing your help, and some dogs and cats and chickens and whatever else you had there. And then in steps our dearly beloved Sheriff Roscoe. And he says, hey, my mom and dad passed away. They got this house over here. It's not as big as yours, but it's a place. So he offers that to you. And then you guys move in there. And you've been there for about a year now or so, maybe?
No, I've been there for about 6 months.
6 months? Okay.
We stayed out at the Urban Brown Training Center for
Oh, okay. Okay.
in the middle of winter.
Right.
For about, 6-7 weeks.
Okay.
And then I moved to Senatobia.
Okay.
Somebody had told me about a house.
So y'all done
down
some
there.
moving around.
We've done some moving around.
And got to do it again now,
Got to do it again.
Yeah.
But that house down there was used as like an Airbnb.
Sure.
And it was fully furnished.
Nice. That makes it nice.
And I had nothing.
Right. So it makes it nice.
Although some of the churches, Compel Church, had been very, very gracious to us through the years. And they bought bedding for all the beds, and pillows and things that we
just to make you a little bit more comfortable during a time of need, because I'm sure like you got out just literally clothes on your back, most of it, so.
Nightgowns,
not even clothes, so,
not even clothes.
That's awful, horrible experience. I think it's hard to imagine a fire, like being in a house and waking up like that, unless you've experienced it. It's really difficult, and I don't even know what that's like, and I hope I never do. I'm not going to.
I hope you don't either.
Yeah, man, because like. Just trying to get out, trying to make sure everybody's okay. And then you're thinking about all the things, your personal things you've had your whole life, and you're losing them. I'm not tied to things like that. I'm really not. But I can only imagine what it'd be for somebody that's had the sentimental things, that they're missing, and it could be a picture of your mom and dad or your husband or your kids or something like that. So I'm sure all that was a loss. And then the ladies that are in the house, the little things they probably got, it's gone. The things that they had, the personal things they were holding on to. And I'm sure you allow them certain things to have, but I'm sure it was a very, very trying time for all of you. But
it was.
A year later.
Here we are.
And now word has it that the house is being sold that you're in currently.
Yes.
And you got to move out again.
Yes.
But the good news is your builder, and you can mention his name because I think he's doing a great job for you, Mr. Joe Whitfield.
Joe Whitfield.
He's going to build you a new home. Insurance finally said, hey, we're going to cough it up. We're ready to build. We're going to take care of you. And Joe says within 4 months, he's going to have you in that house. Is that right? So by June, hopefully, you guys are in your new home.
Hopefully.
Yes. Now, is it going to be equivalent size to the other place? Like it's going to be a big home?
It's going to be about 4,200 square feet.
Right. So sizable. I mean, it's pretty sizable. And I'm guessing in a similar place?
It's right where the other house was.
You're going to build it right on top of the old house.
Right on top of the other.
That's in Hernando.
Yes.
Gotcha. So, that's a great story. It's a long trip to there, but I can bet you this much. I bet it'll have better fire preventive stuff going on. Yeah, you're probably like, we're putting sprinklers in the system. We're on all that stuff.
Yes, we are.
Yeah, all that good stuff. So, good deal. And I know that he'll do a good job on that. And so getting past that point, and of course it's been a struggle because, you still got to maintain rent and you got to pay, moving around is not easy anyway. Luckily you got a little bit of labor with the ladies that live there and they're all helping you move, but still it's a nightmare scenario, I'm sure.
Well, when we moved to the campground, we didn't have anything, so it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah. What were y'all living in there?
It was just one big dormitory with bunk beds.
Okay.
All 15 of us just
that worked out for
there.
A couple of months.
Yeah,
6 months or so.
That was horrible.
Oh, and, I can only imagine.
Yeah, one bathroom and
for ladies.
Yeah. Yes,
Lord,
it was kind of tough, but it was all right. So I'm thankful.
Yeah,
I'm so very thankful. Dennis Landrum's over the missions thing out there, and he was very good to us.
Thank them for that. Yeah,
yes.
There's a lot of good people in the community. I don't think people are aware that does amazing stuff for folks. Like they don't want the credit. They just do it to help. And I know that they don't want the notoriety. I don't either, by the way, but for what I do, I have to kind of be the face of it. But my friend Randy that helps me with all this, he don't want any face on it. Like, he's just like, man, we're just here to help. And you're right. But sometimes there has to, like you had to be the face of what you're doing. Mm-hmm. I'm sure you don't want to be doing a podcast today, but you're trying to bring awareness of the opportunities. There's nothing to gain from you for doing this,
Actually, Miss Ann pays all of our fines.
That's what I was saying.
All of our doctor's
right, out of her pocket.
Everything.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, so we don't have to worry about anything for ourselves.
Right.
She does all of it.
Right.
Just out of her own pocket.
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's so many people in the community that are. I'm not sure how many Miss Anns there are. There's probably
many.
Pretty few of those.
Yeah.
But just from the standpoint, and I know reaching out for the Feed My Lambs program that I'm so involved with, there's some amazing people stepped up that wasn't aware that existed, and now they want to be a part of it. And that's kind of how I got involved with meeting you and others is through this podcast. I felt like I needed to do something different to reach other folks and give some love to these other groups that need the spotlight, because I never heard of Precious and Pink, you know what I mean? And I just thought, well, it sounds like a good program, but I don't even know what it means. And we all have these weird names that like you don't really know how to put it together. You know, like if we just said the girls from the jail program, it wouldn't, you know, we'd know what it is. But obviously we don't want to just identify people that's straight out of jail like that. So, you know, it's usually something like John 3:16 or Precious and Pink or Female Lambs, you know, so it doesn't give you an idea exactly what the ministry is or whatever it is. House of Grace, does it sound like a domestic abuse center? No, but that's exactly what they do. And it's all what they do, you know. So, so domestic survivors, they call it, actually, not abuse. But so, however, there's some amazing people. And I think that we don't give them enough recognition. And part of my platform is to do that for people. So thank you for, you know, creating this little program. Because I don't know if anybody else is doing that, you know? Yeah, and I don't think you do either. No. Matter of fact, y'all had a big deal today with the county supervisors.
I did.
So where you had to go in there and convince them because you moved into a neighborhood that was just not prepared, apparently, and got wind that you were housing, quote unquote, jailbirds in their eyes, probably, not realizing these people are not that. You're in a very controlled environment. They're not criminals, you know, they're literally just people that are trying to find their way back into society and, you know, to be a good, you know, contributing member of society, and you're helping them with that. But I think once the supervisors all got involved and seen the good of what you do, it was like they just voted unanimously to allow you to do what you do.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah. And I only know one of them real well, Ray Dennison. He's an awesome guy. Yeah. And, I think that he probably did the right thing. So I'm sure of it.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes.
If they voted unanimously, he definitely did. So, yeah. So, however, getting past all that bad stuff, the going on for the future is how you obviously got a very good plan laid out for every one of these ladies that's moving through. We hope Miss Ann lives forever. And we hope Miss Ann can do this forever.
I am going to live forever.
I hope you do. I do. Yeah. I mean, right now, what are you, 39?
Yeah.
She's tough, too.
Yeah.
She's a tough one.
Yeah, 39. And so, I mean, at least got 50 more years in you to do this. So I would hope to see someone come out of your program that says, I want to help Miss Ann. Have you had any of that happen to where they... I
have had several that have shown an interest.
Yeah.
You know, and hopefully when the time comes and I'm ready to either step down or, you know, I finish eternity where I'm going.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Then they'll be there.
Good. Because there always takes somebody stepping up and filling that role, you know, because I hate to see it end with someone being forced to retire due to health or just, you know, it's going to happen to us all. You know, we can't be that naive, but you know, some of us do live to be 100, you know.
My grandmother did.
Right. And I hope you're that person, Miss Ann. But the reality of it is, you know, and I'm sure sometimes it becomes more than you can handle personally. Like, you know, you got things you need to deal with as well as a person. You know, you put a lot of things aside in a very unselfish way to help these folks. Now, and I'm sure they don't all realize it initially, but when they see it from the backside, you know, looking back, they're like, man, that lady literally gave up everything to help me. She didn't even know me. You know what I mean? So that's pretty cool. And I don't think there's all those positions, you know, like stuff I'm doing, starting with children that's like 5 years old, you know, to make sure they're fed. You know, because part of that is just like somebody cared enough to put a little food in their bag, gives them nutrition enough to where they can think and learn and that kind of stuff. You know, that's kind of what our focus is feeding those kids. But that could have started with people like yourself, Miss Jenny, that maybe, you know, subconsciously it happened there early on. You know, maybe there wasn't as much attention. I'm not saying that's your case, but when you look back on some of these kids, it was like, you know, they were just following the crowd. Whoever would let them be a part of the group, show them some attention, they get caught up in the, you know.
It's really easy to get caught up when, I mean, there's a lot of peer pressure out there and stuff. So, I mean, it's just, I mean, I didn't have a lot of family trauma.
Sure.
It's just following the crowd.
Yeah, with the wrong people.
Wrong people. Yeah. And guys.
Yeah.
Not bashing men, but
go ahead.
Following men around.
Look, man.
You know.
Look, I have. We were talking about this on the abuse thing. You got to be a pretty strong person to. As a woman too, I think you have to be pretty strong to just say, I don't need that dude in my life. I don't need that woman in my life, you know, and just to push them away. Most women are not built that way. Some of them are. They're strong enough to be like, I don't want you around me. Stay away from me. You know what I mean? But most women are not that way. So it's easy to, you know, to give in a little bit and be like, well, he's not hurting me personally, you know, but it could be that he's introducing you something that's not healthy for you. And then it's like, okay, we're doing it together. And then it turns into something more and more, you know, and then all of a sudden you got a full blown habit, you know, and I'm sure that's probably, and then you're chasing the next thing that makes you feel good or whatever, you know, and you become sick with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, see, I was on some pretty hard drugs, and the thing of it is, when you start out, it's okay, but then trying to get off of it, you just keep doing it so you're not sick anymore. Yeah. I mean, it's really horrible.
Yeah,
because you just do it. You don't even do it to get high anymore at this point. It's just so you don't get sick.
Right.
You know.
You just can't get off of it enough to feel good. You know?
To clear your mind. You don't stay off of it long enough to.
And I guess in the jail system, they don't really work with you too much on trying to get you clean.
Oh no, they just throw you in there and let you
go through the bad times. Yeah. I'm sure there's some horrible times and you're sick. Like, that's the whole thing you're staying away from. Yeah. And then when you go to jail, you know, here it comes. You know.
Well, that's the thing about going to jail this time. I would really like to talk to the officer that locked me up because, I mean, I just want to thank him because, I mean, he probably saved my life when he put me in jail this time.
Right.
You know, and then the judge sent me back to prison. So, I mean, it gave me time to really think with a clear mind of what I really wanted to do with my life.
Sure. And you were sober before you know, obviously, you had to get sober in jail.
Yes.
How long were you in jail for this last time?
I got locked up April 28th. And
of last year.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And I was supposed to do a year in prison, which it wouldn't have been a whole year because I was in county jail for about 2 months, 2.5 months. But yeah, I went to prison, straightened myself up down there, you know, and I said to myself I wasn't going to get high anymore. I turned drugs down in there because there's more drugs in the prison system.
I've heard that.
Than there are on the streets.
Yes, I've heard that.
It's really sad.
That says something about our state penitentiary system.
It does. I mean, it's horrible in there.
I don't believe that's true in our county facility, though.
Well, sometimes, but just depending, I guess. Yeah. I mean, it's not as bad in there because, you know, they catch them when they come in and they got this machine that scans you. Sure. So you can't get much in there.
A little more oversight at the county level.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in prison, it's just, I mean, they're throwing that stuff at you left and right.
But there's so many people.
So many people.
Yeah, and there's just like not
overcrowded.
As many. Right.
Yeah.
So it's probably easier to slip things through. I just think the county's like a little less, you know, they're dealing with 20 new people a day coming in or something, or 30, and it's just a little easier for them to keep that stuff out.
Yeah,
you know,
I
guess.
Really
I don't know. I've never been there. I hope I don't go, but you know, I did let my license expire.
Oh,
so I may
you might want to get that.
I want to get that checked out. I was there today, by the way, for a couple of hours, and they never seen me. It was like a little backup in there, so I had to go again tomorrow, I guess. So, but. However, you know, you're right about that. I think that jail sometimes not the answer for a drug user, because there is opportunities to just continue on the use while you're there. And I had someone tell me one time there's better drugs at the state level than there is on the streets. And I thought, wow.
They cost like 6 times more down there. But yes, there are so many different drugs down there. It's really sad.
Right.
But I mean, you can get it from. I mean, you don't even have to leave your house down there to go get it. You can just look over at your bunkie and get it from there. So.
Oh, my goodness. So it's hard to stay clean in that situation. Yes. Probably money keeps you clean mostly because you don't have the ability to pay 6 times the price.
You would be surprised. These people down there, they do it. I mean, there's a lot of people getting beat up down there for it too, though.
Oh, yeah. So it's a rough life. But
it's a rough life.
Now that you're away from it, you know you do not want to go back.
Oh, I know I don't.
Yeah, yeah.
And luckily, I got to go to Miss Ann. So
how did you find her? I know you talked about your brother getting out there and finding her, but how did you come to the conclusion, Miss Ann, that Jenny was going to be a good fit for your program at your home?
Well, she was coming on Tuesday nights when I was
with
there.
The prayer.
Yeah, to jail. In the
so
jail.
you already had a little bit of relationship with her, just knowing her.
And I do with a lot of them.
Yeah, so because I'm sure you're just not going to open your door for anybody. Like, you got to have a little bit of a familiar.
Not always.
Not always. So you're saying you're subject to do something. Sometimes you're like, oh, they need us so bad, you know.
She's got too big of a heart.
I know.
She's got such a big heart.
I do too. It's part of my problem too. I get took sometimes trying to help folks. So
I do too.
Yeah, it just happens that way.
It's okay.
Yeah.
But I have been, like I told you, my phone number's on the bathroom wall of every prison.
Well, let's go ahead and share it right now since it's on every wall in the bathroom prisons in the country. Yeah.
So I get a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
She does.
You know, and people will call like the Warrior Center for Women or Leah's House, which are two other places in DeSoto County. And if they're full, they'll give them my phone number.
Sure.
You know, and sometimes I give their phone number to them.
Sure.
If I'm full, which I am right now, but I get phone calls every day, you know, from people.
But there's a lot of desperate need.
There is.
Yeah. And it's a real epidemic.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
And, you know, which is why I wanted to have the house in Hernando to begin with, because it was large enough that I could house 14 women.
Sure.
Which, you know, that's good and bad. And it became so overwhelming trying to get everybody where they needed to be and do the things that need to be done. And I eventually hired a lady to stay there and help me.
Sure.
It's really hard to tell people no.
Yeah.
And I've had to learn to do that this last year.
Yeah, it is. I have a difficult time with that myself. So I know. Yeah.
Particularly if you know that there's such a great need.
Yeah.
You know, and they're hurting, and I've had them crying. And I had one girl years back. She was probably that first year I was down here in Hernando, and she had called me a few times, and I'd actually gone and met her. And she knew she needed to get out of the situation she was in, but she just couldn't do it, you know. And she called me one night. It was late, like 10 o'clock. And she said, "Can you come get me right now?" Because she said, "If I don't leave right now, I'm going to leave in a body bag." And so I called the sheriff's department and had them go get her. And I didn't know what I'd be walking into. And I met them in front of the courthouse. And she stayed with me for about a year, a little over. And she was an LPN.
Wow.
And she was there when my husband died. She helped take care of him.
It's an amazing story. She become a true friend for life.
She's a friend.
Yeah. Absolutely. Not just I don't know if you call them patients. I don't know how you do this. Like when they come out of jail, is there just a referral number? I mean, I don't know how they identify them. I know some of the judges tell you, like, you can leave here, but you got to go Miss Ann. I'm sure that's happened. You know what I mean? And do you just call them, what's the name of them? Are they patients, clients? What are they?
You know, I never have thought of residents.
She's
residents.
She's our probation officer.
And your mama.
Our probation officer, our mom, our
and
dad.
A dad, all that stuff.
Everything we need.
Yeah, I asked her about that when we was talking. I'm like, you got to be a little bit of everything. You know, you got to be a counselor. You got to be, a dad, a mom, a principal. I'm sure there's a lot of that going on. So, that's just amazing, the work you do. So thank you for everything you do. I wanted to get in a little bit about, I know we talked about this earlier and we seem to get off subject. I'm real good about that, by the way. So, but from the time you get them, from the day they walk in to your house, when you know you got them coming, so you got a plan. I'm sure you got some kind of plan for that individual. When you had Janie, you're like, all right, I know her a little bit. So ramping up into that program, like what's the first thing to the last thing that you got in mind for? Because some of them you say can stay with you for a few years, you know? So like, what is the shortest time span you've seen to where success has happened?
Probably a month.
Really? And they can come out in a month? I guess it depends on how bad their situation is, right? Is. Yeah. And you'll know that, right? Like you'll know like she's not ready. Or you'll be like, well, I don't really think you should go, but you can. I'm sure none. And that's another thing too. Are they captive to your home? Like, are they to the point like court ordered?
Not unless they're court ordered.
Right. And there is some of that to where you got to stay with Miss Ann for the remainder of your sentence, you know, and then if you want to stay a little longer, it's up to her type thing. But now there's some, like, I don't know, in your case, are you mandated?
No, I was supposed to stay while I was on probation, but I actually got out and wasn't on probation or anything. So,
right. So you're clean out of prison. You don't you got choices.
Yes, I have choices, but I want to be at Miss Ann's because it gives me time to work on myself.
Right.
You know, I can just focus on me and get my stuff straight.
Get you healthy before you re-enter your children's lives. Yeah. You know, and
I'm not going to get back out there and run into one of my old friends, you know, like right when I get out and be like, oh, okay, well, I remember what we used to do. Let's go do it.
Yeah, because that's a good memory.
Yeah.
Like, you know, until you can make it a bad one.
Yeah.
You know, I guess is how you're trying to do it. Like you're really probably trying to get to like, man, what was I thinking? That's not an enjoyable part of it.
It's really not. It's not.
But it's so easy because you forget. You know, it's like all your world's problems float away when you're doing that stuff. I guess it's kind of attuned to like why people drink. You know, they have a drink to kind of relax and get it off. Well, you can have a couple of drinks. Just don't have too many. And that's the problem with drugs and alcohol abuse. It's just not knowing when to stop. You know, it's like you said earlier about it. It's okay in the beginning. Yeah. You know, it's just when it escalates.
It's fun for a second, and then it's just like, oh, you're trying new things, and then none of them are working, so you're doing more of them, and you start doing them just enough so you don't get sick.
Yeah. It kind of gets
really
to a point to where it's a dependency, and it's always scared me. It's kind of why I've stayed away from it pretty much, because I know that I could dive into that real easy probably. Yeah. You know, and I'd be like, just like everybody that's involved in it, you know. I don't think that drugs and alcohol, I think we sometimes look at people as being, you know, the disenfranchised, so to speak, like, you know, the ones that are really downtrodden financially. It's not. It doesn't, just like with abuse, there's no precursor to it. It happens in every home. It happens to every class of life. you know, from the rich to the poor, you know, from the male to the female, whatever it is. Like, there's no dynamic, black or white, it don't matter. It's just, it can get a hold of you. And if it does, if you're not strong enough, it'll take you down. It'll take you down. Yeah. So it's not prejudice. It'd take anybody. Yeah. So, and I know you've seen that. You probably had every type of person you can think of in your house, you know.
I would much rather have a drug addict than an alcoholic.
Yeah.
You can't go to Kroger. They got alcohol. They got it in Walmart, you know, and if they get away from me.
Yeah. So we were talking about that a little bit too. And, you know, you really have to be with these ladies just about everywhere they go when they leave the house.
Yes.
Yeah, like as a group, you know, we're going together.
Yes.
Yeah. Or if one of you go to the doctor, you're going, or somebody's going with them. That's
usually me.
Yeah, right. So there's only one Miss Ann, as I mentioned before. So, and it's because you have a special relationship with them, and they know if they do something, it's going to be a letdown. You know, and they got to start all over, and building that trust with you is huge too. So I guess that's a big thing, is not letting you down, not letting themselves down, because it is a starting over point. And so how many times do you want to start over, and how many times are you going to let them try to start over, you know? So that's another one, you know? And, you know, I don't have any background in drug and rehab. I've just seen a lot of it through my days growing up, you know, the alcoholism and another thing with alcoholism. I mean, you're dealing with a whole different type of thing opposed to the way it affects the body versus drugs. You know, it's a real weird dynamic. You know, everybody thinks it's one and the same. It's not.
It's not.
No, it's not.
It's not.
The alcohol, I may think, in some cases, is way worse than the drugs. I mean, it really is, like getting them off of it, because
you can die coming off alcohol.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
And doing it.
Yeah, true.
There's two ways. You get enough of it. Yeah. I've got a few friends, unfortunately, are going through some serious things right now with that. And amazingly educated, good people just got the best of them, you know, and it's just.
It happens to a lot of people.
It's poison. You know, it really is. It's poisoning your system. And I guess there's so many people doing it. You can buy it on every corner. It's legal. You know, it's legal. That's another thing. So we don't think of it in a bad light until it's overcoming, taking over your life, you know, and then it becomes to where your organs are failing and this and the other. And it's hard to see that, you know. In a drunken stupor, I call it that. It's hard to recognize what's going on with you. You're just like, I'll be better tomorrow, you know. and I've seen that happen before with an uncle of mine, man. I mean, I've seen some wild stuff, man. I seen him go through the DTs. I mean, he was literally telling me he's seeing little green men, and I mean, like, I didn't even understand that at 7, 8 years old. I didn't even really get what he was doing, but I just know I'm never drinking. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he was drinking my Papa's aftershave lotion. We bought it for Christmas, and I remember him coming to the house, and we bought him a big beer mug that looked like beer in a mug. You remember those caps? It's like early 80s, I'm guessing. And he was coming there to dry out. My grandma had brought him there. She's like, I'm going to lock him in this room. She was trying to do him a favor. And he did get wild. And I remember trying to hide everything that I thought he might drink, you know, because I thought, she goes, anything with alcohol in it. And I was going to her, how about this, Nanny? She goes, yep. And that was that beer mug. And I thought, boy, he's really going to want this beer mug because it looks like beer and it's got alcohol in it. But yeah, rubbing alcohol, I mean, that's a wild ride. They'll do anything.
I've had them drink hand sanitizer.
Oh, yeah, man.
I had one girl, I ended up having to take her to the hospital, and she had a 0.300 alcohol level, and it was from hand sanitizer.
Oh, my goodness, man.
I don't keep vanilla extract in the kitchen. It stays locked up in my room.
It's funny you mention that. That's how my grandmother would wean him off. She'd give him small doses of vanilla extract, WB, or whatever. What was it, W?
It may have been. I don't know.
I don't remember. But anyway, she used small doses every so many hours to like bring his levels down to where she could get him off of it.
Mouthwash.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another one.
Mouthwash has. I don't let them have. We have to. And I tell groups that, you know, help bring me things like that. Just make sure you get the kind that doesn't have alcohol in it. Can't do that. No, it's hard to do. And like, that's what I used to wonder, like, it can't taste good. And my grandma would tell me, she goes, it's not about the taste. Their body is craving the alcohol. Like they don't care how it gets in them. Like if you could put it through their ear, they'd take it. You know what I mean? Because their body is needing the alcohol, and they can, you know, it's like they can almost like sense it, you know? And so the taste, be damned. It's not even that. No. It's literally just the alcohol they're after. And they know that's a potent alcohol level and like an aftershave lotion or something. So can you imagine? I can't. But I couldn't. I mean, everywhere I take the girls, in these days, there's hand sanitizer.
Oh man, yeah.
You can't go to church.
During COVID, it was probably a real issue for you going somewhere. Yes. Church was like, girls, don't go over there. We'll just get the COVID. I mean, it's better than it's better than what we're going to go through.
It's almost like I have to go through their purses and their stuff when we get home from church just to make sure they didn't.
Well, temptation's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So if you're not on your strongest leg, that's not good.
No.
And you know that. So you got to take. That's why you said like. Just from the social media to the chance of like somebody starts talking to them, maybe while they're in jail, because they have that access in jail, and then they come out and that guy's still trying to figure out how to communicate with her, or female. I'm not saying it's just guys. Let's just get it clear. There's all types of folks out there these days that have different relationships with different people. But, keeping that cut off is probably a difficult channel. That's probably maybe one of the most difficult, because we as individuals desire that, want to be needed, and you got an interested party. All of a sudden I got to cut them off because I got to go stay with Miss Ann. I'm sure that's difficult in the beginning, and Miss Ann's like,
there's not many men that like me.
So Miss Ann's like, no, can't come around here unless you're a brother or a daddy.
Yeah.
And I got to make sure you're a good brother or a good daddy before you come around here. So, and I'm sure mamas are available at any given time, but the men are a bad dynamic in this thing, and I get it. I'm not trying to bash men either, but I get how it is, because there is a control. They can put their finger on them and control them and guide them.
They can, and women want to please the men.
That's right. Yeah.
So they're going to experiment with the drugs.
Sure.
Just to keep them happy.
Is that kind of where it got started for you, Janie? A little bit? No, you just had a bad friend.
Yes. I had a bad friend. Well, I mean, it started, with marijuana, and then, it was like, ooh, well, I like this, I'm going to try this. I like this, I'm going to try this. Everybody's doing this one, so I'm going to do this one.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And just staying in that culture. Like it's a culture of friends, like it's partying. It started out probably partying and having a good old time, and then
it did.
Just kind of got to the point where it was like you was needing more.
Yes.
And then it graduates into this new drug.
Yeah, and then it graduates into where you're lying to your family, you're stealing from your family, and you're hurting everybody around you.
Yeah.
So
and especially yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Because it's life or death with the fentanyl.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It is.
So you said you experienced that a little bit.
What, the
fentanyl? You did the fentanyl?
Yes, I was on fentanyl meth when I got arrested this time, and I had a detox in jail. And right before I got locked up, I was just like, God, if you take it away, I won't do it again. And so when I got locked up, I was like, okay, I hear you. And then my brother talked to Miss Ann, and Miss Jackie told me that it was pretty faith based. So I picked up my Bible and started reading it. And then I got sentenced to prison, and I got saved while I was there. And then when I got out, I was like, oh, I don't want to go back to the same stuff. So I was really glad Miss Ann was there. I'm tired. Yeah.
I've learned that, and y'all can, only because I've observed this. It's not because I've went through it or I got some kind of training, because I don't. I'm not a doctor of any sorts or any kind of therapy. But what I've observed in my life through family members and friends, you're not going to help those folks until they're ready.
Oh, that's true.
Like they got to really want it. They got to want it. You can't convince them.
You can put somebody through as many rehabs as you want, but if they're not ready yet, they won't get off of it.
They take 20 rehabs before they're ready.
It took me a couple of times in jail and prison before I finally got tired of it.
Yeah, and I hope you are. I hope you're really at that point in your life. I don't know how old a lady you are or where you're at in your life, but I know
22.
that. Well, I mean, I believe it. If you tell me she's 39, you're 22. And I'm 16. Yeah.
No, I'm 41.
Yeah. Well, listen, that's not that old. Ann is also not too old to learn, and I think I think Miss Ann would tell you at truly her age that she's learning every day still, and learning behaviors. And we meet new people like me and you met. Yes. And it's like we got a similar perspective on life, about how to help people. And like, it's not about us. Like, we've lived a good life. We've had some great people in our lives, and we're fortunate for that. And it allows us to give to others, and that's where I feel like I'm at in my life. That's what makes me happy. I don't have any hobbies, or I don't have no fishing trips or hunting or hot rods, none of that stuff. I just try to help folks and take care of my family. That's the best I can do. And I'm pretty much a house guy. I just hang around the house, watch some TV. I'm just in my normal life. I'm very, very boring, but I like helping others. And so I think that's what happens here. And maybe in your light, coming forward, as you see how she's helped you, and you've seen, you're a young lady. So helping her in a role. If you can get to that point, maybe you can start your own program or help her.
That would actually be good.
Yeah,
Help Miss Ann. Yeah, because I love what she does. I mean, she's literally saved a lot of girls.
Yeah.
Like a lot
and
of
somehow she could become the special healer of people, you know, like no training.
Yeah,
you know,
no
I'm
training
sure,
at all.
Yeah, like no training. But
she just went to the jail and started collecting women.
Yeah, how many women, by the way, do you think in the course of 15 years of doing this that you've had come through your house?
Over 1,000.
Oh, my God.
It's been a lot.
So out of those, and I know there's failures, like there's ones that just like, Miss Ann, I tried. And I'm sure you visit with all of them after they fail too. Like you go see them and you're like, what happened?
Well, if they show back up in the jail.
Yeah.
Which
you're going to see
happens.
them.
I'm going to see them.
Yeah. And you ask them what happened. You're just like, I went back to the same place you told me not to go. You know, so it's usually there's the failure, right? Like it's getting back with the same folks and they're not. But out of those, like say out of the 1,000, is there 700 success stories? 800?
I would like to think there's at least 700.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's not always going to be
perfect. No.
You know, there are some times when the girls don't keep going to church.
Right.
But they're not doing drugs. They're
That's
holding
success.
jobs.
That's a success story.
That's a success to me.
Yeah, I'm not back in jail. So
No,
regardless of how I'm staying out, I'm doing okay.
Yes.
You know, I got my family. My kids are better because I'm better. Maybe you get away from that bad relationship, find a new one if you can. I always tell women, you do not need a man. Like, I know you think you do, but you know, it's just because it's human nature to want to be needed and loved. You know, I get that. But like, it is not a necessary thing. You will find the right person when it's time. You know, they'll come into your life, I'm guessing, you know. No, you're not going to meet them at home, most likely. but maybe at the grocery store, you know, I don't know. I mean, just be in a healthy place. Church, you said, you know, it's a big place. And, but however, it is an absolute, you got to be ready yourself to want to get healed, you know. And my buddy Randy and I, he has a friend that, and this guy's in his 60s. And I mean, he should have been dead 9 times already. You know, we talk about him all the time, alcoholic, whatever he can put in his mouth. And he's like, but he had to hit his bottom, whatever his bottom was. You know, your bottom, my bottom, and your bottom's 3 different things.
Yep.
You know, it may take me literally being on death's doorstep. I may need to die and be brought back to, I don't know what that is for me because I haven't been there. But some people don't take much to get their attention. And then some people, you got to just keep whacking them in the head, you know, till they finally go, oh yeah, I'm really messing my life up and everybody around me that loves me, I'm really destroying people. I don't know what that is, but they got to find it themselves, whether it be drugs or alcohol. And I don't know. I mean, it's what I've observed anyway. I don't know. You attest to that though. It's like you too. You see that same thing. Yeah. And I'm sure probably with all the ladies of the 1,000 ladies, every one of them had a different bottom, you know, as far as where their breaking point was of where I've got to get better. You know?
It's like I had plenty of times, Miss Ann, she's been coming to the jail forever and taking girls, and I could have went to her house anytime before, but
in your previous stance in the DeSoto County facility.
Yes, in my previous stance. But it's like I told in my interview, I wasn't ready. Yeah. And I knew if I went, I would just leave. Sure. So, you know, I didn't want to burn that bridge because I've burned so many other ones.
Sure. So you're just finally getting back. And for anybody that's watching this that knows you from your past, I mean, I'm sure you got things where you're like, oh my God, I'm like, can't believe that, you know. But people deserve second, third, fourth chances sometimes, you know. And, you know, if you truly mean it, then you got to prove it to them and prove it to yourself and your Miss Ann, whoever, you know. But mostly
Miss Ann she is really a godsend. She is.
But you got to prove it to yourself first. Yeah. You gotta
and that's what she does. She gives us time to prove it to ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. So
take us away from everybody.
I've said all along, I can give them the opportunity. But I know when they come in my front door, they're not just suddenly healed.
Right. No. Oh, it takes time.
They're bringing all their bad behavior with them.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had people in the past that have thought that, you know, as soon as they do something bad, I should just turn them loose. But that's not what God does with us.
No.
He gives us forgiveness and other chances.
Sure.
And there does come a time, though, sometimes when I realize they're detrimental to everybody else in the house.
Yeah, they can't be
Right. And so I might have to cut them loose, which I really don't like doing.
Do you have multiple revisits? Like, do you ever see them back again? That happens sometimes where you're like, they get out, they do good, and they go back through the system. You're like, Miss Ann, I need to try again. You know, and I guess you do that, right?
I do. If they've left my house on good terms. Yeah. I've even let some of them come back that didn't, but not very many. But, you know, I will let them come back if they've proved to me that they really tried and they just messed up.
Left a little too soon, maybe.
Yeah.
Or they didn't get this message as good as they should have. And maybe they're a little more mature now. You know what I mean? And maybe they learned a lesson out there, and now they know how to deal with what this is what Miss Ann was talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like I said, you're still learning too, like how to help them,
It's been a long journey.
Yeah, I can feel that.
It has been, you know, because I didn't know. I mean, I grew up in a really good home. I think I shared that with you when we talked the other night. And I didn't really even understand, I don't think, what sin looked like.
Sure.
Because I didn't run around with people that just practice that.
Yeah, right.
So, that was different
but
from
your
me.
eyes have been open, man.
They have been. They have been.
She just started moving them in.
Yeah, she just started bringing in the sinners from every direction. Yeah.
But I will say this. When you had, I'm assuming you have children.
Yeah, 3. Yeah.
When you brought those babies home, the first time they put them in your arms at the hospital.
I want to give them back.
Did you?
No, I'm just joking. No, I love them all.
Yeah, of course you do. And you look at that little tiny thing and you have all this hope for what's going to happen ahead.
Sure.
And this responsibility you feel to turn them into a productive grown-up.
Yeah.
When those girls walk across my front door, it's like looking at a little baby and just having hope for them.
Right. They're just truly in their infancy. They're starting over.
They are.
Yeah.
And I can't just, you didn't, I didn't. I've got 4 kids, and when they, first time they ever colored on the wall, I didn't say, get out of my house. Don't come back. You're 3 now.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I didn't do that.
You can make your own sandwich.
That's right.
Yeah, it's a whole point of nurturing. I think that's why I think the nurturing's the part of it. That probably for women especially. Men probably got to be dealt with different. I think you're a special person. I'm not sure you could deal with the men in the same way. It's like your theory and method probably be good, but there would probably be some little hard loving. You know what I mean? Like men have to be taught in a different way. It's a little bit rougher perspective. And I'm sure you run up with some women like that sometimes, like they just don't get it. Like they're not going to get it here. Yeah, they're not soft enough for this. Like they literally need to be in that John 3:16 program across the river over there. Yeah, that's where they need to be. But I think for the most part, though, like you said, the nurturing is highly important. They may not realize it, but they didn't get enough of that when they were younger. You know what I mean? Like you think you had this great lifestyle. Like I'm one of those guys, by the way, that I think I had this amazing childhood, right? I don't look back at it on a negativity at all. But then when I start talking about some things, I'm like, that was crappy. Like I can't believe my mom put us through there, my dad, looking back at it, because we were products of the divorce and, alcoholism. But I mean, I look back on my childhood as like just being this amazing time. Like I look at it as like everything was a good lesson. Even though it was bad things, I still took something good from it. Subconsciously, it might have been traumatic. I don't realize it until later, but I don't look back on it like the nurturing was missing. I always felt I felt loved, and I felt very much like I had the years. I also, let me clarify this. Like I had 4 grandparents that were in my lives all the time. Like if I needed them up to about 13, 14, I had all 4 of them within just arm's reach, anytime. And I think that was critical on my bringing up. So in the absence of mom and dad working a lot or whatever the case may be, I had those 4 stable people in my lives that, at times weren't the best examples, but they still unconditional love. And I think the parental, like even if it's grandparents, it's really essential to have those people in your lives. And so you may be filling that role that you don't know about with someone like her, that maybe she don't realize she missed that. Now you're that part of her family, even though she's got a mother that's probably loved her and been great to her through life. I don't know that, but I'm saying you're a different mother. You're a different role, and it could be from a grandmother's standpoint. She might be seeing, what she missed as a young person,
Well, see, my mom was never stern on me. Never
too soft.
Way too soft with me. So I get that with Miss Ann.
Right, she loves you, but it's a hard love sometimes.
It's a hard love, and that's what we need sometimes.
Yeah, I had a crazy grandmother. She'd rather slap you across the head than like man, she'd tell me, go get a switch. I knew I'd done messed up because I'm about to cut my own switch and I'm about to get beat with it.
Get one
that's right. And I knew not to come back with the little one. So, but I think that everybody deals with it differently. We could all take down the paths of, this happened to me. This is the way I'm recovering from it. I just never saw it like that. Maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a really good thing. I didn't realize how messed up it was because me and my brother sometimes, he's like, do you remember that? And I'm like, yeah. we were talking with the ladies of the House of Grace. Turns out we had some abuse in our family. We didn't realize, I was sitting there thinking, I need therapy after this interview, because I'm not realizing I'm a survivor. That's what I'm saying. So they got tickled about it, but not to make light of it, any of it. I think, I like to look back on the experiences of life and learning experiences of just, how to learn from it, move forward. Not everybody can do that. So we have to go through our own trials. And I could mess up tomorrow and learn, a new lesson from whatever I make a mistake at. In a situation like yourself with Janie, you've got probably 20 years worth of some stuff going on here, possibly.
A little more.
A little more. And it's not going to happen overnight.
No, it's not. It's not going to happen.
And you're going to be, for the next 20 years, you're going to be battling how not to get back on that wagon.
Yes, that's right.
Or back on that roller coaster. Yeah. And hopefully someone, if Miss Ann is still doing her program, whether she is or not, you'll be able to rely back on the things she teaches you, lessons. Because I know there's school teachers or somebody in my life that said something to me that impacted me.
Yeah, she says she does. I learn something new from her every day. She says
carry it with you. You might want to say WWAD.
Mm-hmm.
What would
Ann do?
Yes, in the situation. So
I'll try to get them to do what would Jesus do.
Well, yeah, but really and truly, as much as you want that relationship, they got to have a relationship with you too. Because you're their mentor. You're the one who's carrying the torch for them. And you want to see them succeed, and you also you're gonna fail. You're gonna fail on your own. I'm gonna be doing my best over here for you, but anything else you want to add to from a standpoint, how does people, if they're looking for your help or donate to you, how do they reach out to you, Miss Ann?
They can reach me on my cell phone. Yeah. Which is on 24/7. Yeah. And I have an email address.
Mm-hmm. What's your cell phone number?
It's 901-849-3562.
Repeat it.
At 901-849-3562.
Okay, and that's the Precious in Pink.
Yes.
Miss Ann's going to answer that personally. So, and then also, what is your email, if they want to reach out to you, quietly, if there was a family member or even if somebody wanted to donate to the program or maybe help you possibly acquire some needy things you might need?
I have one, and it's Precious in Pink 1 at yahoo.com.
Yahoo. I think I did that to you the other day. Yeah. Because you just don't hear too many people having Yahoos anymore or AOLs. I told you I had one of those too.
I got both of those.
Yeah. Yeah. So Precious and Peak 1, the number 1.
Yes.
At yahoo.com.
Yes.
Gotcha. All right. So we know how to reach out to you. We'll put that in our intro as well. When Derek does the show, he'll put everything in there when he edits out. That's our amazing producer down here at SRP Studios. That, by the way, you had done his podcast maybe a year or two ago or something. And then Coach Camp, you did his about a year ago or so. I didn't know that. So when I booked you in, Derek goes, I know Miss Ann. She's amazing. And I'm like, well, cool. I didn't know that, So I wanted to I don't know if it's any different than what they did as far as the questions we asked. We're all individuals, so we're going to do things a little bit differently. But, going forward, I know you're getting a new house. Your big need right now, what is your biggest need for the house?
For the house?
Well, just for the program, overall, what is the main need that you ladies need?
Of course, the big joke is toilet paper.
I can only imagine. Yes.
Yeah, we go through a lot of that. But, we use a lot of styrofoam cups. And,
sure, just trying to keep it from dishes, not being a real big thing. Yeah.
And sometimes that's a health issue, too, because when you got that many people in the house, somebody sneezes, everybody sneezes.
Oh, yeah. Plastic cups, styrofoam, that kind of stuff, paper plates, just kind of making it to where it's less using the same utensils over and over. So it's not, you're not exactly a family. No,
we are, but we're not.
Yeah, they're not all related.
No, we're not biological.
Yeah, no.
But I didn't eat or drink after my brother and sister.
Yeah, I still don't like that.
I'm still not going to.
I love my wife, but I don't really like, she don't like me drinking. Neither one of us like that, by the way. So it's just a weird thing.
Yeah, but we need those kind of things. Sometimes the girls, they get out of jail or out of prison and they have nothing.
Right.
Yeah. So, underwear, socks,
clothing,
shoes, just things that you would need.
Yeah.
Personal items,
like shampoo, conditioner, that kind of stuff. We go through a lot of laundry detergent.
I can only imagine. Yeah,
it's a lot.
Yeah. And so just like household needs.
Household needs.
Yeah, I know you need money. Everybody needs money, right? That every program does. But things, that's like with the Feed My Lambs, the food, because that's what we're using our money for.
Yeah.
The food that people donate, like, it has to be a specific kind of food for our program. So, it has to be something a 5-year-old can get to and use, so it can't be, you can't give them ramen noodles unless it's in like a preheat cup or something, but specific stuff. So with y'all, though, it's probably all over the board. Like, the food is just as important as the money in a lot of cases, because we're going to have to buy that stuff anyway. So it's just supplies. So if it's food, time, or money, I guess your volunteer status has got to be limited a little bit, because you got to be careful about who comes in the house and stuff like that. So you'd have to really vet that person to make sure that they're on the up and up. Most likely a woman too. You'd have to make sure it's a woman.
Yeah. I don't let men. Now, I have in the past let couples.
Right. I get that.
Husband and wife.
Yeah.
They can't come. Dad can't come by himself.
Right. Right.
But mostly women, and I do need help sometimes with transportation.
Sure.
There's a morning here not too long ago. I had like 3 places I had to go all at the same time, and I physically can't do that.
Yeah.
So, sometimes I need help driving, and sometimes I know ahead of time, and sometimes something pops up, and
so it's just a constant planning, like logistics sometimes, because these ladies all have appointments to go to as well. You're trying to get them. I mean, you can't go as a group all the time, because everybody don't have the same needs. So if you need to go, for instance, Jane's got to go to the dentist, and then Sherry's got to go over here to the lady psychologist, whoever it may be. So there's different directions at the same time. So that logistics are probably tough especially when you're trying to be with them on all these appointments. Yeah, I don't know how you do that. So I really don't. It's like having a house full of kids that got like soccer practice and over here and all that stuff.
Well, I have priorities. I mean, if there's something really physically, medically going on with them, I want to try to be at the doctor with them. Court, I'm going to be there.
Absolutely.
And that's just really important to me, that I'm there. So, sometimes I got one, I've got one right now that's taking GED classes.
Trying to get educated.
Yeah. And sometimes I just need somebody to pick her up.
Right, because she can do that on her own.
That's like today. We had just a few minutes notice to go down there, and she had to be at school at 1. So
right.
I mean, she's really stretched. She is.
Yes, and I know as much as I joke with you about your youth, it is something that as we get older, we definitely don't want to keep on moving all the time. But now here's the thing: at the rate you're going, you're definitely not going to lay down.
No,
you ain't got time to lay down. So. Yeah, I value my time alone. You don't have that.
Very little.
But you kind of, you got to enjoy it a little bit, because you're just constantly inviting them back in.
I'm just a glutton for punishment.
Maybe a little bit. So, yeah. And you probably got these amazing animals and the stuff that you're wanting back in your life once you get your house back, because that probably helps the ladies too, like when they have cats and dogs that they can kind of build a little bit of a relationship with as well. And they can kind of, I guess you have enough of them that they all kind of have this little pet, right? So maybe a chicken, since that.
Well, I have raised the chickens.
Oh, yeah.
We had them in the house.
Oh, wow.
When they were just babies, and raised them. And, of course, you get attached to them like that.
Sure.
And I do miss my chickens.
Well, soon enough, you'll have you back on the property, and
chickens everywhere.
And eggs are, $7 a carton.
Yeah.
So, you got to get back in the egg having business.
I'm telling you.
That'd save you thousands of dollars there. Yeah. So the needs are primarily getting back to that. We just need some, any kind of basic needs, where they're obviously toilet paper. She just mentioned that first thing at first. It is a joke, but it ain't a joke.
No,
you know what I mean?
It's not a joke.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm aware of that. I had at one time we had like 4 or 5 females in the house, at our house, and definitely they're the toilet paper users. So
they are.
Yeah. We have makeup and whatever else is going on. So that's one of the things, just in general household needs. Probably some cleaning supplies too.
Yes.
Like little things like that. I guess if they email you, do you have a website to where they can reach you?
No, but I do have a Facebook page.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And it's under Precious in Pink, which I use mine with my name.
Yeah.
More than I do that one.
Yeah, it's hard for you to probably balance it out.
Yeah.
That's your job, Jenny. From now on, you're going to be on the Prescience of Peak website. You're going to be
get on Facebook, though.
That's right. Yeah. Dang it. She don't have any access. No. Yeah. Yeah. So you're pretty much watching cartoons and
no, faith-based movies.
Faith-based movies.
Yes, they're really good.
Well, we can watch faith-based cartoons.
Yes, we can.
But you limit them, like that kind of stuff, just so they don't get a lot of outside influence and things like that.
No Robot Chicken, no SpongeBob.
Oh yeah, so no Adult Swim or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I think the one I love the most is like Hank Hill.
Oh yeah.
Can you watch that?
Yeah. Well,
I don't know who that is.
You've never seen Hank Hill? I'm going to show you.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's not bad. It's not a bad one.
No,
he
it's
sells
not real
propane and propane accessories.
Yeah, it's like a family thing. Yeah. Anyway, it's funny, but it'd probably be okay to let them watch that one. It's got some good characters on there. But anyway, yes, I think Facebook. Obviously, it sounds like your email is going to be the best one. So people reach out to her that way. Call her on her phone number. They're local. They need us. Could be your daughter, your mother, sister. That's in the same position. You're trying to figure out a way to help them. And Miss Ann has a solution, and it seems to be a successful one because the people I talk to, everybody I talk to says you do amazing work. You're the first one I've ever met that's come out of a program or actually in it. But, you have high praise already. I know you haven't been there, but you've known her for a couple of years clearly. Because,
a lot of years.
Yeah, a lot of years. Yeah, and you finally found your way to her, and it's going good. And, and obviously you wouldn't have brought her with you if you didn't think she was doing a great job and moving well, and in the right position. And is there anything else we can discuss today that you might want to get out there? Do you want to thank anybody for anything they do for you, or
anybody that does do anything for me?
Just thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Every bit helps, absolutely. So, and I'm guessing with the focus going forward, getting in a new house, you probably have a lot of people helping you with that. Like you were talking about some of the guys putting the cabinets in, this, that, and the other. And I'm sure there's like a team of folks trying to do a little bit at a time to kind of give you more for the bang of the buck, with the rebuild. It's expensive. It's hard for them just to give it, and I'm sure Mr. Whitfield that's building your house probably doing it a little less than normal cost, that he's charging just kind of help you because he knows the importance of the program as well. And of course, their relationships with the former sheriff, that he's been around for so long, and I'm sure that at some point in time, you mentioned you hadn't really just met with Mr. Tuggle yet, Sheriff Tuggle, but your goal is to do that soon and kind of talk to him about what, obviously he's aware of you because I'm sure he knows what you're doing every day. Yeah. And very thankful, I'm sure. He's just a busy guy. First year in office, he's getting pulled a million directions. I haven't even met him yet, but I think Chris and, Derek here had him on a show and they swore up and down they got him elected. Yeah, they did. They told him that. So they joke about that all the time. But I haven't met him. But I do know that everybody's pretty fond of him. And if you're doing such a good work, I can only see where they can see that. They got to see the numbers. They're like, that girl hasn't been back since she's been in that program, and we sent her 16 times in 5 years. Was that you?
Probably more.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's a new slate.
Yeah. New slate.
So you've spent a whole year not in DeSoto County.
Yes.
So maybe you can make it longer.
Maybe I can.
Just stick with Miss Ann. Anyway, guys, thank y'all for coming today. I'm going to sign out with that. And as always, guys, look us up on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, TikTok, Apple, all under the Local Yokels Podcast. And you can also probably reach out to us at TheLocalYokelsPodcast @gmail.com. So if you guys have any questions or you got an idea for a show or want to get involved with any of the programs I talk about, whether it be Feed My Lambs, which is obviously one I push a lot, or help Precious and Pink, we will be able to make contact with Miss Ann if you missed some of the information somewhere like that. But look for us next time on the next podcast. Appreciate you joining us today. See ya.